Hello and welcome back everyone. Today we are finishing up our fractions unit. So we're going to be finishing up by talking about multiplying and dividing, which you've already gotten a taste of multiplying by talking about when you find common denominators and also when we start adding and subtracting those as well. So we're going to talk about the multiplication portion of it, and then I'm going to show you how dividing is nothing but multiplication flipped upside down, and you'll see why. So to multiply fractions, we must have blank fractions. So again, just like adding and subtracting, improper fractions help out. Improper fractions make it so much easier. So every single problem here you'll see, I'm either going to have improper fractions to start, or I'm going to create improper fractions. So all you need to know for multiplication is, can you multiply straight across? Yes, we just multiply numerators times numerators, and then denominators times denominators. So if you have A over B times C over D, just know that when we multiply straight across, so this would equal A times C, AC over BD. So just multiply straight across basically is how you multiply fractions, and we're going to be dealing with improper, remember. So examples, here we go. So examples of this, so 2/7 times 3/5. We're just going to look straight across. 2 times 3 is what? 6. 7 times 5 is 35. Done. It's that easy. Multiply straight across. That's it. Just make sure that you do check out this last step, which is reduce, but in this case we're fine. We don't need to reduce any further. And I'll show you a neat little tip to help you reduce later on. So next we do 5 times 6. We get 30. And then 2 times 10, which is 20. Now this one should be obvious that we can reduce it. If we think about 30 and 20 both end in 0, so therefore they're both divisible by 10. Remember, what we do to the top, we must do to the bottom. So this is the opposite of equivalent fractions, but reducing. So 30 20ths becomes 3 over 2, and you're done. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video for right now. Go ahead and try 3 and 4 on your own. Okay, ready to check your answers? Let's take a look. So remember, we need to turn them into improper fractions first. To do that, we multiply and then we add, sort of like that semicircle. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so we get 11/5, multiplied by 1/2. We don't need to change anything. 1 times 11 is 11, again, multiplying straight across, and 5 times 2 is 10, so we're left with the answer of 11/10, which cannot be reduced. Okay, and lastly, let's take a look at this last example. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 1 is 9, so we get 9 over 8 times 2/3. Okay, this one I know already that's going to be reduced, and I'll show you why. 9 times 2 is 18, divided by 8 times 3, which is 24. Both are even, correct? And also, what numbers also go into this? Doesn't 6? 6 goes into 18 3 times, and 6 goes into 24 4 times. So 3/4 is therefore going to be our final answer. Now you're going to ask yourself, isn't there a quicker way to reduce? Isn't there an easier way to reduce? And absolutely. This is where we get to cross-reducing. What we can do here is cross-reduce. So if you look here, we can reduce ahead of time before we even start multiplying. So 3 and 6 are both divisible by 3, correct? So this is where the cross comes into play. So 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 6 twice. So I'm just going to divide each of those by 3. Now I haven't changed the problem itself because I'm still working with the same numbers. So 1 times 1 is 1, okay, and 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, we can go back through here. Let's go ahead and erase this just so we could take a look at what it would have looked like if we didn't do that at all. And we were reduced second. So 1 times 3 is 3, divided by 6 times 5, which is 30. Okay, and we know that 3 divided by 30 is 1/10. So we do get the same answer, just make sure that we cross-reduce ahead of time. So it can go both directions as well. 2 and 8, both are divisible by 2. So we divide by 2 and divide by 2. Okay, and we get on this side, 8 divided by 2 becomes 4, and 2 divided by 2 is just 1. Now can we do the other one? Yes. 5 goes into 15. 1 and 3. So now we take 1 times 4 is 4, divided by 1 times 3, which is 3. So our answer is 4/3. So we reduced ahead of time. That's what cross reduction does. So go ahead, figure out 7 and 8. Remember to figure out what the improper fractions are. We always have improper fractions first, and then we can simplify. Go for it. All right, ready to check your work? Good. Let's take a look. 2 times 3, 6 plus 1, 7. So we get 7/3. Multiplied by 9 over 14. Okay, to do this, again, we're cross-reducing. 7 goes into 14 twice, so I know that this is going to become a 1. This becomes a 2. I'm reducing ahead of time. 9 and 3. What is it? 3 and 1. So this one becomes really easy. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. So we're left with 3 halves. And lastly, again, we make the mixed number into improper fractions by multiplying and then adding. That's 8 plus 5. That's 13. So 13 over 8. Okay, and we are going to multiply that by 4/3. Let's see if we can cross reduce. Absolutely. Again, this is 1 and 2. So we get 13/6 as our answer. Now we're going to finish up this unit by talking about dividing by fractions. And I said before that dividing is the same as multiplying, but we're going to be multiplying by something. Dividing fractions is the same as multiplying by what's called a reciprocal. Okay, and here we have the definition of a reciprocal, blank the numerator and the denominator of an improper fraction. So basically all we do is flip, or we exchange the numerator and the denominator. So if we have a over b, the reciprocal would therefore be b over a. We just flip it over. Okay, so we're going to flip the second fraction before we're multiplying. So taking a look here, if we have 2/5 divided by 4/5, we are going to take the second one and we're going to flip it on top of itself. So we have 2/5 does not change, so the first one stays the same. And then we are going to multiply instead of divide by its reciprocal of 4/5 becomes 5/4. Okay, and look here, we can cross reduce if you remember that step. 5 and 5 are both divisible by 5. 4 and 2 are both divisible by 2. So therefore we get our answer of 1/2. And you could have multiplied through, that would have been 10 over 20, which is just 1/2 again. So let's take a look at the second one here. 5/12 divided by 5/6. Again, we're going to keep the first one the same. Do not change the first one. Multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So that is 6/5. Okay, let's multiply this through without doing the cross reduction first, so we can see that we do in fact get the same answer. 5 times 6 is 30. 12 times 5 is 60. 30 divided by 60 is in fact 1/2. If we looked at the cross reduction too, we could have looked at this as 1 and 1 and 1 and 2. Okay, so again, that does give us 1/2 as our final answer. Good way to check yourself. Go ahead, pause the video for the last 2 questions of the day, and then we will wrap up our video at the end. Okay, all right, ready to continue? Let's take a look. We have 2 and 1/3. Remember, we're changing a mixed fraction into an improper fraction. We take 2 times 3 and then plus 1. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. We get 7/3. And to do the multiplying by the reciprocal here, so we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 14/9, which is 9/14, which a lot of these you can see will cross reduce quite nicely. So if these are the steps that you're following, hopefully they will give you the correct answer in the end of 3/2. And let's take a look at the last one. Well, this is a doozy here, but hopefully cross reduction can help us. If we take a look here, 5/6, we do not change the first one. We do not change it. Then we multiply by its reciprocal of the second fraction. 36 divided by 25. Ooh, this one works out very nicely. 1 and 5. And 6 and 36 both have 6 as a common denominator. So we can label it as 1 and 6. So this fraction is 6/5. Okay, so today we talked about multiplication and how division is no different than multiplication. We are just multiplying by a reciprocal or flipping a fraction. with the numerator and denominator switched. Hopefully this has been helpful. Concludes our Unit 1 fractions, and stay tuned for Unit 2 coming up soon.